Hello, everyone. Hello, YouTubers. This is Anonymous T. Hope you're having an amazing day today. So, today, I don't know, Celebrity Big Brother 3 has completely turned and flipped upside down. I actually missed Season 2. I was debating on how much longer I could wait and pretend that yesterday's chain of events didn't happen, but here we are. So, as you guys know, Carson, we were so excited, who won HOH, that you guys are going to see tonight in the episode, I'm sure, that is coming on, I guess, coincidentally, the same time as the Super Bowl and the Olympics. So that'll be interesting. But, we were all excited. But then I realized, I'm like, wait a minute, this could really go bad. This could be another Misha HOH if we are not careful. And sure enough, this is where we are. So Shanna has been warning Carson and not Olivia. What am I thinking of? I'm thinking of Scandal. Scandal's on my brain because I was watching Inventing Anna, and there's like all these former Shondaland actors that were on Scandal and everything else. Sidebar. But anyways, so Cynthia and Carson, Shanna warned them that, hey, now that we have the power, now that the power is on our side of the house, now that there's like clear lines in the sand, that they're going to try to split us up. That's going to be the first thing that they're going to attempt to do. Because keep in mind, Shanna she wasn't pushing, but she was trying to put out all the scenarios to Carson on who he should nominate for eviction and why it should still be a good idea to nominate Misha and Todrick together, because that way, if Todrick wins veto, he can't pull off Misha. But now, Carson seemed pretty set on these Misha and Todd noms. So then look at what happens is the following. So Todrick and Misha conspire, and they basically say, they're going to play good cop, bad cop, and Misha's going to basically set up Carson and Cynthia, and they're going to be honest because they're going to play on the fact that Cynthia is a straight shooter and likes people to be honest with her. So their gameplay is going to be, Misha's going to be the good cop. They're going to explain to both Cynthia and Carson how, Shanna has been playing both sides of the house, how, she has advocated in the past in some capacity that she wanted Carson to go home and didn't really do much defending. They were going to expose as well that they have a Final Four. And then Todrick was going to come in as bad cop to basically like push everything and, sell Shanna down the river. And like really set everything home to play to the fact that both Cynthia and Todrick already know each other. Both of them are black. They may or may not have a secret Cookout Part 2 alliance. We don't know. But they were going to play up all of these different things to try to, get Carson and Cynthia upset and get them to turn on Shanna. And so, and honestly, here's the thing. As a Big Brother fan, like separate from whether or not I like these people, it's a brilliant move. It's a brilliant move. The numbers, are shifting, and you want to try to make yourself and your number one person safe. We all know Grodner loves Misha, and she's likely going to win this season, barring something drastic happening, like Misha actually losing veto and people actually voting her out on Monday. But, or Todrick losing veto, I should say as well, unless Grodner has him sit out, so it doesn't look like there's any funny stuff, but I highly doubt it. They'll probably have, like, Lamar or somebody sit out, or Cynthia, I'm sure. But, it's a good strategy. It's a good strategy to break up, the three-headed alliance that basically, made a power move to save Carson. I still think, looking back on this, I think there were two mistakes that were made. And the first mistake was Shanna not using her veto, her first veto that she won the previous Monday, so that they could either take off Chris Kattan or Mariah off the block and put Todrick or Misha there and vote them out. And then I don't understand as to why they did not just, follow through with taking Cynthia off the block and then putting, that way they can go with the original plan. Misha could put up Todd, and Chris and Shayna and Cynthia, they can pretend, well, really Chris and Shayna, they could have just pretended that they were voting out Carson. So that way it didn't expose anything. Because that's 3 votes to keep Carson. And then, it would just be Todrick and Lamar voting to keep Todd. Like, it would have went flawlessly. Because you didn't necessarily have to turn Lamar. You could have had, Todd and Carson on the block, presented as Carson's the bigger threat, make it seem as though you're going to vote out Carson, and then on the live eviction day, vote out Todd. And flip the house. That way you still keep Chris, you still keep Shayna, you still have Carson, you still have Cynthia, and then Misha has lost one of her soldiers, and then it is just down to really Todrick for her, and to a lesser extent Lamar. But Lamar is kind of also playing a floater game, except for people aren't taking him seriously. So that would have been the move had they done this. But again, I just think that it was just a hot mess, man. It's just a hot mess of what this has become. So basically, they Misha and Todrick, they implement this plan. Even Misha goes as far as trying to convince Carson to put up her and Todrick straight up, as like some sort of reverse psychology, right? But I think secretly she was doing it to really just propel herself in the event that, she doesn't win veto, because she hasn't been good in the veto competitions. And so therefore, she's looking to also, potentially have somebody next to her who also is just as equally as responsible as, putting up Carson on the block multiple times. And so essentially what happens is Carson and Cynthia believe them. They believe what they're saying. And then there is drama ensuing because Shayna suspects something is wrong. She suspects something is off. She's upset. She's, not feeling good about the situation. And next thing we know, there is all hell breaking loose in the HOH room. So what ends up happening is Cynthia, let me rewind for a second. First, Shayna goes to talk to Carson in the workout room. And she's upset because she's like, I've been nothing but honest with you guys. I took you off of the block with my veto win. Why would I be going against you guys? Why would I be the enemy? And so she's trying to explain all of this. And then Carson's asking about the Final Four thing. And she said nothing was ever solidified. She said Chris Kirkpatrick was a lot closer to Todrick and Misha compared to me. They never brought me into anything because they didn't like me. And she's trying to explain all of this stuff. And so he's like, okay, let's go tell Cynthia. And I'm like, what do you mean let's go tell Cynthia? This is your HOH, dude. But again, Cynthia is Carson's number one. So he takes whatever Cynthia tells him seriously. So they all go to the HOH room. Cynthia, she's just on 10. She's pissed. She's hot. She's like coming at Shanna sideways. Shayna's trying to defend herself and trying to defend, the Final Four thing, trying to defend, playing both sides of the house and how everybody's been playing both sides of the house. Like, she's trying to plead her case that she has always been team Carson and Cynthia, and everything that she's done has been for them. And if they didn't have the information that they had, there's no way they would have been able to make some of the game moves that they did. But Cynthia's not having it. And so then it was funny because Shanna knew that Todrick and Misha were eavesdropping. So in the midst of this shouting, Shanna goes to the HOH door. She opens it and she tells Misha, can you please give us privacy? It would be really respectful if you would give us privacy at this time. I see you guys listening or whatever. And so Misha's like, well, you haven't always given us, privacy, but that's neither here nor there. And it was just hilarious. It was just hilarious, you guys. It was hilarious. But, Cynthia kept saying, okay, well, if this is true, why don't we just tell, Misha and Todrick now and this and that. And so really, I didn't feel that Shanna really got to fully explain everything because Cynthia kept cutting her off. And so then by the time they get downstairs, because Cynthia's up here bringing up, Todd and Lamar, which was like completely unrelated because Shayna's like, I've never talked game with either of them. And so then, they're all downstairs. Everybody's in the kitchen. It's all screaming and everything else back and forth. And it's just like a pile on Shayna. So Shayna's like, you know what? This isn't worth it. And she's like, if you guys believe what they're saying, then put me on the block. And then she basically just goes into the pink room and, is just under the cover. She is upset. She wants to cry. Like, she is just very upset. And nobody goes to check on her. They are all dragging Shanna in the kitchen, calling her, like, out her name, slut-shaming her, saying all of this wild stuff, and it has just gone completely left. They were talking about her for, like, 7 or 8 hours straight. Because at one point she went to the DR and was obviously still visibly upset, and Lamar didn't know what was happening. He was like, is she about to go home? Like, Lamar was totally confused. But it was just unfortunate because it's like, okay, it's one thing to be upset about Shanna playing both sides. That's one thing. But to come for her about her personal life and whether or not she's getting child support and to try to say that she's been wearing inappropriate clothing, but that didn't matter to you what she had on the past couple of weeks, like that wasn't a big deal, but now all of a sudden it's an issue and you still won't say it to her face. And then you're saying that she's just being, like, really Todrick went in the most and saying, like, she's famous for being married to, celebrities, and all of us had to work for what we got, and all of us had to work to get here. And it was just a hot mess. It was honestly just a hot mess. And all this is still happening before nominations. And so at first I thought Carson was taking all this in and he was trying to be objective. But then he starts to believe the nonsense. He starts to say, well, Shanna started to do a lot of blabbering and a lot of talking and this and that. And, usually when people try to talk really fast like that and try to say everything, that means they're lying. And I was like, what? I'm like, she's in defense mode because we went from the house being against Misha and Todrick to now the house being against Shanna, who basically sacrificed her number one's game, sacrificed her game and her relationship with Todrick and Misha to save Carson. They have no relationship. She was trying to explain to them, I pulled you off the block. Misha didn't want to talk to me after that. She said the lines in the sand were drawn. This is a divided house. And they just they don't want to hear it. So then after some time has gone by, Cynthia's calmed down to an extent, but her and Shanna have another talk. And, once again, Shayna's trying to explain all of these things, and she's trying to explain how Todrick told her that he didn't want Cynthia in the game because there was already a black female in the final 2 last season, and he didn't want to do that. So that's why he was offering Shanna a final 2 in the event a final 2 with Misha didn't work out. And so then, of course, Cynthia, immediately goes to Todrick. Like, she believes every single thing that Todrick tells her. And it's just wild to me because multiple people have told Cynthia not to trust Todrick. And for whatever reason, she believes everything she says. And now it's to the point that even Carson believes everything Todrick is saying, even though Todrick and Misha are the reasons why Carson's on the block. And now Cynthia's talking about, well, at least I know what I'm getting with Misha. She keeps it straightforward. I know she's going to stab me from the front. And I'm like, what? Like, it was just all a mess. There was like a Final Four deal that was offered to Todrick if he didn't pull Misha off the block, that he's like pretending he's going to honor, but it's not real because in the event that he does win veto, he's pulling off Misha. Like, that's happening. So it's just, again, it's all a disaster. All of it is a disaster. And, then after, Cynthia confronts Todrick about, the final two comments and him not wanting to be in the final two next to a black woman, Todrick loses it and completely just destroys Shanna, completely comes for her again, completely shames her. And it was just disgusting. It was so disgusting to the point that I had to turn off the feeds. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. And it was just wild. It was just wild to me. And then they knew that Shanna was crying and they didn't check on her. And there was at one point when, Lamar was with them and Todrick and Todd and everything. And Lamar's like, I don't like seeing women cry. And Todrick was like, well, you've made plenty of women cry. And I'm like, what is going on? Like, it is, everybody is cracked in this house. Everybody has completely lost it. Shanna is trying to work some magic with her crystals and her chakras, like looking at pictures of Chris Kirkpatrick's family. I know in her mind she is thinking, why in the heck did we keep Cynthia if all of this was going to happen? Cynthia is Carson's blind spot. Carson was in the right to defend Cynthia when it was Cynthia against Todd because Todd was out of bounds and he was inappropriate getting in a woman's face. And I'm a little perplexed that now Cynthia and Todd are acting like best friends after he basically just called her a hood rat, a ghetto, and threatened to kill her and her husband out on the streets. I don't understand how you're best friends with that, but you are not giving any benefit of the doubt or any possible legitimacy to what, Shanna is telling you is true. Why would she be in a room with you guys all of this time, if she didn't have your guys' best interest? She saved the both of you last week. And they're like, well, no, we were protecting you too. What? What do you mean? And then Cynthia's whole argument is, well, you've never seen the block. So that's why we believe that you're playing both sides, that you're helping out Misha and Todrick. And Shayna's like, I haven't seen the block because I've had to win veto to protect myself. If I don't win these vetoes, I'm on the block. What is not computing? And this is what I mean. And this is where I was just at a breaking point because I was like, moving forward for future celebrity seasons, number one, the celebrities and their agents need to be fully aware of what they're getting themselves into. So that should include mandatory viewing of past seasons of Big Brother, not just regular Big Brother, but Celebrity Big Brother as well. Mandatory viewing. Number two, there should also, after that, be auditions. You need to audition as a celebrity for this show. I am sorry. You need to be put in multiple scenarios, a mock HOH competition, a mock veto competition, a mock alliance setup of some sort where the celebrity and a couple producers, they claim, that they're going to be working as a team or whatever against a couple of other producers so that they can see how that celebrity is going to navigate certain scenarios in the game. And they need to see the celebrity's level of comprehension in some of the different challenges in the game. Having a sample mental comp, having a simple physical comp, and see how they respond. If they understand the directions, if they understand what the expectations are. Maybe do a block for each celebrity to be in the Big Brother house with the producers, pretending to be house guests with them, to block off some time for like 5 or 6 hours so that they can see what this really is about. With no phones, no access to the outside world, sample nominations, they need to do like a full orientation before these celebrities sign their contracts. And I understand I know for a fact last season the celebrities' fees were like $100,000, and that's before they get any additional stipends for how many weeks they're in the house, as well as the second place prize, or like with Tamar Braxton winning last season, the $250K. So really she won $350K, plus whatever additional stipends or whatever else she won. So, but we need to revamp. That's like the first part of this. If there's going to be a season 4, we need celebrities who know something about this game, is familiar with this game and how this works. And like I said, there needs to be a mock orientation to where they are going through what typically happens in a Big Brother house in an abbreviated setup with a block time of 6 or 8 hours or something, where the producers pretend to be other house guests so that the celebrity understands what's happening, and then they can go back to their agent and say yay or nay. Because we cannot have this. We cannot have people so far gone that the people that are actually getting eliminated are, with the exception of Chris Kattan quitting, but the people who are getting eliminated are the people who actually are familiar with the game. And letting everybody else run the insane asylum. And I'm just so disgusted with Todrick because he's playing a very nasty version of Derek F's game and gone too far with, the Kylan route of completely slandering, Shanna and her family and everything else. Like, it's disgusting. It's truly disgusting. And it's like, even if you don't know her, prior to her being married to celebrity men, she was already a famous beauty pageant queen. Like, why are we insulting her? Why are we acting as though she's a Kardashian who's only famous because of a sex tape, or only famous for dating black athletes and rappers? Why are we putting Shanna in that same category? Why are we doing that? It's just a hot mess. It is just a hot mess. And Shanna actually held back. Because if you've seen Shanna on reality shows, you know how turned up she can be. And she is completely held back on these people because she realized it is not worth it getting into a screaming match and looking crazy in front of all these people who don't believe her anyways. So it is just wild. But I feel there has to be some parameters in place if there is a celebrity season 4. And in addition to that, they need to get rid of Grotner and the other guy. I think it's Rob Meacham, I want to say his name is, or whoever. They need to get rid of the both of them. Because ever since this has been Grotner's regime, the same thing has happened that has been predictable every season. Either a large alliance steamrolls and somebody from that large alliance or major alliance ends up winning. Or, in the case of this season and some other seasons, there's this bullying that's taking place where the house just gangs up on one person and completely ostracizes them and, is completely insensitive to them, doesn't give them the benefit of the doubt, doesn't think or take into account the possibility that they might be telling the truth, just completely goes with groupthink and goes with whatever the majority says, whatever the cool kids say, and completely bully and slander and treat this person like crap. And then in the end of all of this, it still benefits whoever Grodner likes. So this all benefits Misha at the end of the day. And they even are willing to have Todrick in the final two with Misha because Grodner likes them, apparently, allegedly. She likes Todrick's messiness. Look who else had a similar game. Derek F last season. He was also, one who was able to, get there to the end. Like, it is just so wild to me. It is so wild. It is so wild, you guys. So wild. But I mean, it's just very, very, very annoying that we've gotten to this point where now it's just so toxic in Big Brother. Like, we want drama, we want fireworks, but we don't want it at the expense of a bullying situation where there's not one person there to comfort Shayna or be there for Shayna and this and that. And then it's funny because the group keeps saying, oh, we don't like to see anybody upset and this and that. But meanwhile, you have somebody ostracized. And so then at the end of the night, finally, they brought in some alcohol or whatever else, and we're having, some funny times in Carson's HOH room, and Shanna comes up and has, some wine with, him and Cynthia and Lamar, and they're up here telling stories about their travels and this and that. He said it's like a no game talk zone. But even after that, still things aren't changing. Cynthia's deciding to in the same room with Shayna, and her and Carson are trying to say, all they really have is each other and Shayna and this and that. But the plan now, with the help of Todrick and Misha implementing this, is essentially Shayna needs to win veto on Monday or she's gone Monday. That's where this is completely, totally went left. They are going to plan to backdoor the person who saved them on Monday. Make it make sense. Make it make sense. Carson is going to backdoor his ally Shayna on Monday because of this betrayal of her playing both sides. Like, it is just madness, you guys. So they are willing to keep snakes like Misha and Todrick in the game. And Todrick, who's completely toxic and nasty and saying all these nasty things. And now he's moved on to a new target in Lamar. He's mad at Lamar because Lamar told him he needs to be eating with actual utensils and not using his fingers and having this nasty, improper etiquette that looks awful. To use some utensils when you eat. And so now Todrick, he's on a smear campaign against Lamar. So it is awful. And it's like, this is the problem when you deal with people who don't know the game. Carson won't be able to play in the HOH on Monday. And Cynthia has yet to win a competition. So who does Carson and Cynthia think is going to protect them when Misha or Todrick win HOH? What do they think is going to happen when they're sitting back up on the block? Or knowing them, they're going to say, hey, we knew this would happen. They're going to try to play it down or, not think of it as being a big deal. Because that's how far gone they are of knowing what is taking place in the game. And they're going to feel like fools when they get out of the house and realize they were completely wrong and see all the clips of the nasty things that Todrick was saying about them. And how Todrick has been on the plan all along to target them and set them up so that they could be mad and distance themselves from Shayna. Now, with all intents and purposes, I do think this was Shayna's plan. Ultimately, was her and Chris Kirkpatrick were supposed to get further in the game, and then they were going to discard Carson and Cynthia because they can't win anything. Well, that's not true. Carson can win, but Cynthia cannot. But the issue is they both don't really know the game that well. So they were still going to latch on to Todrick and Misha as a Final Four, because it would basically be like good guys versus bad guys, essentially. And they would just have to duke it out and figure out, whoever's going to win, that final HOH and who's going to take who, the final veto, who's going to take who, and all this and that. So, it's just wild out here. It is just wild out here, you guys. And then the cookout from last season is not making this any better. So, people are upset on social media because, they're seeing, Hannah and Tiffany and, just going hard in the paint still for Todrick, even though he's saying all this nasty things. And so, Tiffany makes a comment basically on her Twitter that, she's not going to engage with this and nobody's going to tell her what she can do or say and this and that. But here's my problem. If you're going to defend Todrick or keep quiet. But don't do this, we can like somebody, but we don't have to do this or that. Because then Evil Dick quoted her and was like, you can be friends with somebody, but you can still hold them accountable. So then Evil Dick tweets that they had a phone call, that him and Tiffany had a phone call after that. But here's my thing with Tiffany. Why are you engaging? If you know that you are going to ride for Todrick and Derek F and Kylan, why continue to engage with people on social media? Because they're going to continue to call you out. Same thing with Hannah. If you are going to continue to be Todrick's landlord, take pictures and video all over his mansion and this and that, why try to gaslight fans on social media? Why do that? But yes, it is, those of you who are not aware, it is Derek X, it is Kylan, it is Tiffany, it is Hannah, it is from BB Can 9, it's Rohan and Brayden, and now what's her face, Chantel from this past season Survivor. They are all at the mansion. They are all at Todrick's mansion, the same mansion who, by the way, now Todrick has a problem with Shanna bringing up his finances and what he wants to spend money on or not spend money on. Now that's an issue. However, he had no problems saying that Teddy doesn't need to be there because she comes from money. Here's the thing. So here's my issue with Big Brother and some of these players is they like to bring up their families and they like to bring up money, whether they came from humble beginnings or not, as some sort of, tactic or strategy to justify why they need the money or why they should win. And here's the thing. I don't like that. I don't care if you came for money or not in this game. You all are still getting a fee. You all are still getting at the minimum $55,000 or $100,000 or whatever, depending on what the budget was for this season. You guys all are still getting a fee of some sort, plus whatever stipend you get for how long you last in the house, and depending on what place you guys get in. So you're getting money anyways to be on there because you're a celebrity in some capacity, some of you. And yet you're trying to make this about money, or who has what or who has less than or who worked hard for what, when all of that is irrelevant in this game. The whole point of Big Brother is, did you do the best to win? Did you win comps? Did you have a good social game? Did you have good jury management? Were you a good strategist? Or were you just a floater? Were you a goat that just made it to the end? Did you just ride somebody's coattails and they were your shield the whole time? What was your moves? That's what Big Brother is about. It is not about, I am sacrifice. Everybody's making a sacrifice. Everybody is away from their families and their friends. That's what you sign up for. And celebrity version, you have the added luxury of also getting a fee, also getting, whatever your fee is to be on the show. That's not the same thing as regular Big Brother. Also, you get an abbreviated season. Still with $250,000 is the prize. Meanwhile, regular season is nearly 3 months. That's still $500,000 cash prize. They won't even just make it $1 million like Survivor at this point after all these seasons. So again, what are we complaining about? What are we doing? Trying to count other people's pockets and count other people's pennies and try to use that as a tactic? Or concerned with somebody is or isn't wearing. And TODRICK'S wanted to talk. He stays in booty shorts and Uggs that are glued to his legs. Like, what is he talking about? About what somebody else is wearing. Really? Because what are you wearing? It's just disgusting. I am just so disgusted, you guys. And I hope today is a better day, but I'm not optimistic. I just want Monday to get here and go, because it is just going to be awful, you guys. It is going to be awful. I have a feeling, like, unless it's like a Travis Barker, history lesson or an Oscar de la Hoya trivia or something, that Shayna's gone Monday. So it's just very unfortunate, and it seems as though already on Reddit and social media they're banding together to try to get Shanna AFP now. Even though people are trying to claim they're going to try to rig it for Carson, I think Shanna can get AFP, because they tried to say the same thing last season. They tried to say that TODRICK'S was guaranteed to win AFP, and it actually ended up being Tiffany that won. So I think definitely if people put in the votes, Shanna can get it. Especially with the casuals. Because the casuals are going to be confused at this big fallout. They're going to be so confused, and I am wondering how it's going to be spun. Because even regardless of everything, TODRICK is still getting a pretty decent edit compared to how he is on the feeds. And that's the other thing that's hilarious. He keeps saying, oh yeah, you guys are going to see all of this. You guys are going to see all this and see that we were telling the truth. Knowing full on well he's a liar. And then also, Misha, she even stops. She stops when she realizes that this isn't, a hill I'm going to die on. I'm just going to say the parts that are true, and then I'm going to stop. But TODRICK keeps going and goes too far. And then for some reason, these house guests think that we don't see everything on the live feeds when we do. Misha seems to think that there's only limited things that people see, so therefore they're not going to be privy to some of their worst moments. And Carson seems to think that there's privacy in certain rooms, that the cameras aren't filming, or they aren't there, or that the live feeders aren't seeing it. When there's all these cameras in the house, we see it all. So I don't even know what that's about. And then at the end of all of this, of course, TODRICK and Misha are celebrating, and they are back to counting their jury votes. And then TODRICK realizes, oh wait, I may not have the jury votes because people are going to see all of your lies. And all the people that you've pissed off. So it's going to be another Paul situation, most likely, to where the jury is going to go in on him finale night. And I can't wait. I cannot wait. Because he deserves it, and he deserves 0 votes if he is sitting in that next to Misha. So, sorry this is a little bit long, but it was just a lot yesterday that I just wanted to just do in one video, because I was just so disgusted with everything. And I wanted to just give you guys a thorough update on what all happened. But basically, it is a crap show in the Big Brother house. It is a disaster with these celebrity Big Brothers. I wonder what Chris Kirkpatrick is thinking. I wonder what he is thinking. And I just can't wait for Chris and Shanna to reunite at this point, because I think their story is not over. Like I said in the previous video, it's giving me Memphis and Christmas part 2. It is giving me Memphis and Christmas part 2. So, more to come on that. I will see what transpires. Oh, and another thing. Shayna's boyfriend apparently is losing his mind. He keeps making TMZ. So remember previously he made TMZ because he was spotted buying engagement rings and had the cameras follow him. Mind you, he lives in Shayna's mansion. Poor Shanna, she keeps saying she loves him on the feeds, but I feel like she subconsciously knows that something's wrong. And next thing I know, there's another TMZ article, basically him saying that he doesn't like the interactions between Shanna and Lamar when there's nothing there between him. Shayna's curved Lamar multiple times. Her and Chris Kirkpatrick are like the true soulmates. So you don't need to be worried about Lamar Odom. Lamar Odom anyway still thinks he can get back Chloe. But nonetheless, he has since on Instagram deleted all of his photos with Shanna, has unfollowed her, and allegedly is still at her mansion, bringing people in and out, different girls in and out of the mansion. So hopefully between Teddy and other people immediately get in her ear the moment that Shanna gets out of the house that she needs to ditch this dude. And hopefully her and Chris Kirkpatrick can reunite prior to the finale, because this is crazy. This is a disaster. This is all a train wreck. All a train wreck. All of the people who know the game, who are familiar with the game, with the exception of Chris Kattan, are all getting evicted back to back to back. And all the people who do not know the game are coasting to the end off of Misha's back. And really off, Todrick, he's playing a game, but I still don't believe he's watched that much Big Brother, because he's still doing some dumb stuff as well. So there's that. But let me know your guys' thoughts. Again, I apologize for the lengthy video. There was just a lot that took place yesterday that I just wanted to get it all in one fell swoop so you guys can kind of get the gist of what happened. You guys know I usually like to just get straight to the point and get it all out there and keep it moving. But yeah, this is where we are, you guys. I don't even know what's going to happen today. That's how crazy everything is. And we still have tomorrow where the real fireworks are going to begin. And that's going to be crazy if it ends up being Shanna out the door. But really at this point, all I want is for whenever Carson and Cynthia are evicted, for Julie Chen to expose the fact that Shanna was on their side the entire time. And Shanna did all of this for them. And Chris Kirkpatrick sacrificed his game for them, so that they can look like fools. Because this is crazy. But those of you who are Real Housewives fans, Real Housewives of Atlanta fans, you know this is Cynthia to the T. She hides behind larger personalities like Nene, like Kenya. She likes to play back and forth between them. Between those friendships, she's sneaky. She lets people take advantage of her easily. Look at what, Peter did, stole so much money from her to the point that she even had to sue him again after their divorce to try to get the money back, because he stole so much of her money to put into all these failed businesses and never reimbursed her or nothing. And then now she's married to somebody who's a serial cheater, who's admitted that every wife and girlfriend he's ever had, he's cheated on, and has all these female friends around him that he may or may have not been intimate with. And basically prior to Cynthia entering the house, Mike Hill is doing interviews basically saying he doesn't even know if they're going to make it to 2 years. That their marriage was rocky, that their anniversary was rocky, or whatever. And that they almost, had a fight that could have potentially been the end of them. So things aren't like all fine and dandy between Cynthia and Mike as they wanted to seem. And he just had a cheating scandal as well with some girl that, basically, I think it was on one of these other social media platforms, but basically there was inappropriate messages going on between the two of them. And she had the receipts that matched everything to verify that it was him. So, it's just wild out here. It is just very wild out here. But Cynthia has a habit of trusting the wrong people and going all in with the wrong people. and then hiding her hands and trying to only speak up when whatever argument or groupthink suits her agenda to speak up. But it's just too much. It is just too much. And this is like the worst part of Cynthia, is when she is on the wrong side of the team and on the wrong side of things, and is so strong in her convictions to believe the lie that it just makes her look silly to all of us. So that is where we are. That is where we are. But let me know your guys' thoughts for real. I am curious to think of what you guys think about all of this. I don't even know where we go from here at this point. I mean, I'm just prepared for a Misha win and a Misha and Todrick final 2, because unless Shanna wins veto, this season's over. And once again, we have another Grodner special. Anything to get Misha the win, right? Anything to get Todrick further in the game, heck. Because how did he miss the block is what I want to know. Screw the deal. Even after the deal, they exposed all of the lies that Todrick, had said. And still Carson's like, oh, I'm not going to put him up. I'm still going to just stay true to Todd and, Todd and Misha. I'm going to play a game with integrity. And that's the whole thing yesterday. It was all about integrity and honesty and all this and that. And I'm like, this is not integrity. Slut shaming somebody is not integrity. It doesn't matter if you like Shanna or not. Like, how can you say all these mean things about her that aren't true, and put her all out there like that, and then say that you're a good person and that the brand is watching? Really? Because your brand is going down a few notches with this nastiness. Just saying. And Cynthia still wants to get another job. She needs to go back to Real Housewives of Atlanta then, because they offered her a friend role and she turned it down. So it'll be interesting to see what happens of this. But I am curious to find out what your guys' thoughts are, because again, this was just a hot mess from start to finish yesterday. But props to Misha and Todrick. I mean, they knew who to prey on. They knew what to say and do to get Cynthia to lose it and be strong in her convictions and convince Carson that Shanna is the issue and all this and that. And they have no idea about the game or understand the game. I would have thought that Cynthia at least would have watched the full season with Candy on it. It sounds like she barely watched that. She claims she supported Candy, but I don't think she watched season 2. I really don't. I think she may have saw a few clips here and there, like, oh, there's Candy, and that was it. I honestly think, because there's no way you would have watched season 2 Celebrity Big Brother and conducting yourself this way. It's just wild to me. So, for real this time, those are all my thoughts. Please let me know what you guys think. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post new content on my channel. And with that being said, I will talk to you guys again very soon.